Takashii from Japan. For those of you who don't know him, he is a Japanese YouTuber that conducts street interviews with Japanese natives and non-Japanese people where he asks them cultural questions. The people that he brings on are pretty interesting and I love his videos, but there's one video that irritated me and it has nothing to do with what he did in particular, but the answer that one of the people that he was interviewing gave didn't really match the question that he asked. And it irritated me personally because the person who answered the question is, much like myself, a Black American who's married to a Japanese woman and has a biracial child. And my wife and I will have a biracial child in a few weeks because she'll be giving birth to our son. So I was really interested to see how he answered this question, but it not only missed the mark, it was just full of negative talking points. Let's check it out together and see if you guys can pick up on what I'm saying.
Raising biracial kids in Japan. Is there anything you try to do?
Okay, raising a biracial kid in Japan. Is there anything that you try to do?
I think her experience will be really unique because she has an older brother and sister who are racially Japanese. Completely. Imagine that it'll be helpful because she'll have her own siblings who will have a different experience. But in general, as a foreign guy, specifically like a Black American guy living in Japan, if I had one major concern with my child in Japan, it's not about safety, quality of the school system. My one concern is her being biracial in Japan. Probably struggle with also in America, but it's just going to be more extreme here because of the homogeneity of Japan, not looking Japanese like everyone else. She'll be considered an outsider until that culture changes. And I don't think that culture will change by the time she's 12, 15, 18. I don't think it'll have changed. I think it'll take more time for Japan to finally open itself up.
What does that have to do with what he's gonna do in raising his biracial daughter here in Japan? Now, I'm not attacking this couple at all. They're a beautiful couple with a beautiful biracial daughter, and they seem like good people. I just really didn't like the way the husband answered the question. It is interesting that she has two older, completely Japanese siblings. So her situation is extremely unique because most biracial kids, they only have, their other biracial siblings or no siblings at all. But what does that have to do with what he and his wife are gonna do in regards to raising their biracial daughter in Japan? Almost nothing. And then the rest of the video is just negative talking points. Yes, Japan is very homogenous, 98% Japanese, 1% other Asians, and 1% Westerners. And you don't really see people with our skin color. So she is gonna stand out. Maybe she'll be considered an outsider by a lot of people, but she'll find some people that don't care about her skin color, that her skin color won't bother them or hinder them from having a genuine friendship. She doesn't have to be liked by everybody. That goes for anybody living anywhere. We don't have to be liked by everybody. We all end up just having a few friends that we love and they love us back, and end up having a lot of people that we just know, like people on Instagram or Facebook or whatever social media that you use. Now, when it comes to getting a job, will her skin color hinder her from getting a job? Maybe. But in my experience, I found that my skin color is kind of advantageous because let me tell you a story. I tried to get into a company here in Japan as an English teacher that one of my Caucasian friends was teaching at. He recommended me. I did 2 interviews that they said went very well, but ultimately they did not give me the job because, according to my friend, the hiring manager said, "We have one Black guy, we don't want a second one." And that hurt me. I was angry, I was frustrated, but I was like, well, the fact that I need a job doesn't change, so I'll just find a company that doesn't discriminate. And 2, if a company has discrimination issues, they probably have more issues, and that company did. Apparently, they weren't paying the workers their full salary and making them work a lot of unpaid overtime illegally, and they eventually got sued in the future. So I dodged the bullet. To be honest, the companies that I've talked to that don't discriminate have been full of wonderful people, so I feel like my skin color is a good filter for finding good companies here in Japan, if I'm being honest. I just really hate when people automatically respond with negativity when asked these questions because international families are beautiful. What we got going on, both him and I having a Japanese wife and biracial children, it's a beautiful thing. I would have personally answered that question positively by saying something like, I want to raise my child to be a bilingual. I want him to know English because I'm a native speaker. And he has cousins, aunts, and uncles, and a grandma in the United States that only speak English and don't know Japanese. And I've seen half Black, half Japanese people here in Japan that don't really speak English and can't communicate that smoothly with their family back in the United States. So to avoid that trouble and to avoid them not having a relationship with their family in the US, I, as an international father who has a biracial child, will teach my child English so that he can not only talk to his family in the United States, but live in the United States if he wants to, have a easier time getting a job, and ultimately have more opportunities in life. That's what I'm going to do. Let me close by saying this. I thought about it for a while, and I came to the conclusion that no matter where you live in the world, no matter if you have a biracial child or not, the job of a parent doesn't change that much. What are the 4 main jobs of a parent? 1, give your child love and affection and nurture them. 2, give them structure so that they can develop a stable routine. 3, make sure that you're exposing your children to other children so that they can learn how to be social and play well with other kids and not grow up to be antisocial, because that is a possibility. And 4, make your house an environment where your child can talk to you about anything that may have happened at school regarding bullying, racism, or anything, so that you can help them through it and get the bullying to stop. Because my child might be bullied here in Japan for having a darker skin color, but I know that there's many American children who live in America that are bullied by other Americans for either being too short or fat or having freckles or crooked teeth, something. And I think parents in both of those situations should take very similar actions. Ask your child what happened with the bullying or the discrimination, and give them some advice. If that doesn't work, maybe even go up to the school and see what's going on. Ask the teachers what's going on. What are they doing to prevent the bullying? And that's pretty much all that you can do. I don't think the job of a parent changes that much internationally. Guys, sorry for the awkward cut in, but I realized while editing that I forgot to give credit where credit is due, because his wife does come and actually answer the question, and I just want you guys to see what she has to say.
Just making sure she meets a lot of different people and culture, so she's just not fixed to just one. When she understands who she really is, like, it'll be more easy for her to accept, like, oh, there's a lot of different people, so like, I'm my own person, you know?
Yeah, and I think that's a very solid goal of a parent who has a biracial child, to introduce them to a lot of international people, because that's also something that I want to do for my child as well. She came and answered the question, picked up where her husband left off, which he really didn't get anywhere with his answer. He was at the start line, the pistol went off, and he just started running in the opposite direction. But yeah, she responded positively. She actually said what she's going to try to do for her biracial child here in Japan, and I think it's wonderful. You know, this is a beautiful couple with a beautiful baby, and I wish them the best. I have thought about what it would be like for my son here in Japan as a biracial Japanese person, and my wife and I ultimately decided that we're just going to help him through anything that he might be going through at school in regards to him being biracial here in Japan. I even thought about how my last name might affect him, because I talked about in a different video how I don't like my last name here in Japan and how that might affect my child here being a biracial Japanese person. That's one of the more interesting videos on my channel, so I strongly recommend that you go check it out. It was well received by the people who watched it, and I think you'll like it if you like this video. Anyways, guys, please like, subscribe, and share. I love you so much. Peace.